Hello everyone, my name is Dark and we are playing some Ark Mobile. In today's video I'm going to show you guys how to get past the Ax Icicle trap in the dungeons. That way, when you run through it, you don't do this and die. Let's go! Alright guys, so first things first, this is a very tough trap and I still occasionally die to it, but we're going to do our best here and try to show you guys the pattern and how to get past it, at least somewhat consistently. Now there are 4 icicles, they each drop one at a time, so 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And it repeats over and over again, and then the axes are actually on a similar count. It's a little bit faster, it's like 3 or 3.5, but let me go ahead and show you the other side. There we go, and now watch this. So I'll start off by counting the icicles, and I'm going to count the icicles in the position that they're actually hitting in, because there's 4 different positions if you pay attention. So watch, you got 1, 2, sorry that wasn't 2, that was 1, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4, and then essentially the key with the axes is whenever you do start running, you want to run right after the axes have swung, because you can run this whole length immediately after the axes swing and the axes won't hit you again. So as long as you time that as the same, you should be good. So now you got to ask yourself, when do you want to run in terms of the icicles? If you run when it hits in the 1 spot, then you're probably going to get hit when it hits in the 3, 2, or 4 spot, right? Because all 3 of those are after you start running. If you run after it hits the 3 spot, then most likely the 2 or the 4 spot's going to hit you. So then if you run after the 2 spot, then you figure you run as soon as the 2 hits, then the 1 won't hit you, the 2 already went, so that won't hit you. It hasn't gotten to 3 yet, and by the time you get to 4, 4 should have already gone. So that should be good. So let's check this out. Alright, so let me go ahead and edit this and slow it down, and I'll put a voiceover to the slow-mo version of it, and you can get a closer look at this. Alright, so there goes the 2 spot, and then the 4. And by the time the 1 or the 3 were to go, we've already gone past. And you notice that axe came like just a hair before I actually started to get where the axe was. So that was, good obviously. Sometimes the axes, because they're on that weird pattern that's only similar, sometimes they go, close either way. So you just kind of got to be aware of that. But I'll play it one more time for you so you can kind of see it in slow-mo again. Alright, so 2 hits, and then we sprint. That axe is just a hair before, which is, it's good, it's before. We're sprinting, and we are clear. Alright, so back to the video. And now we're on the other side, which has the mirrored pattern of the other way. So it's 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, and so on and so on. And then essentially you just want to run right when the 2 spot hits, or just a hair after, depending on your speed. So let me show you this. And now let's take it into slow-mo. Alright, so we have 4, 2, we start running, and look at the 3 icicle, it almost hits me. I just run just a hair after it hits. And that really comes down to my speed. If I had a little bit slower speed, believe it or not, that would have been easier. If I had waited just a hair after the 2 hit, it also would have been easier. So let me show you this one more time. Alright, so there goes the 4, there goes the 2 with the axes, then I start running. Here comes the 3 icicle, just a hair before I get there. Again, if I had a slower movement speed, I would not have gotten that close to the icicle by the time it had dropped. And if I had waited just an extra half second after that 2 dropped, it would have been a lot easier as well with my current movement speed. Alright, so we are now going back to the other way where it's 1, 3, 2, 4. So we're going to run after the 2 hits. And in both cases, you're essentially running after the 2 hits. But in this direction, pretty much right as the 2 hits is when you're running. In the other direction, I should be running just a hair after the 2 hits. But that's again because of my movement speed. I have 170 speed. See that? There we go. Clean right through. Now we've got 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3. And you got to remember too, from this direction, the 2 is easier to see when you run up to it because it goes 1, 4, 2, 3. The other direction that's a little harder because the 3 comes before the 2, and if you mix those up in your vision, because it's foggy, it's darker, it's a dungeon, it's foggy. I've definitely misread which one dropped before because I rushed it. So just be aware of that. Take your time with these traps. They're not easy. So when you run up to these traps, take your time, make sure that the pattern matches what you know, wait for the right moment, run through it. Don't rush it, don't overdo it. That's how you'll die. Now another option you guys can do is you can drink a beer before you run through this. The beer will actually reduce the amount of damage that they do when they hit you, giving you a better shot of actually getting through it even if they do hit you. And I do know that some players will even mind wipe before these ice dungeons with these traps, level all their stat points into health, and drink a beer when they run through it, and that's how they get through. Oh, and see, there I got hit twice. If I'd had a beer, I probably would have survived. Alright guys, so fortunately I am in single player, and actually I would highly suggest to all of you to start building a little bit in your single player, just enough to get some basic gear and basic stuff. The reason I say that is that way you can practice and do stuff like this when there's a hard new trap or when there's a hard new boss or something. You can practice and not risk all your hard farm materials in a multiplayer server. Oh, and I always forget the picture mode doesn't actually work in single player because it freezes it. But anyways, as I was saying before, this is a very, very hard trap. Even knowing the pattern, even having done it a little bit and practice it, it's still tough. You can still die. This character that I have has a movement speed of 170, so you can kind of get an idea of how close I'm getting and, you know, how close I am to dying each time I run through it. So, but essentially you want to run after the 2 slot hits in both cases. In this direction, it's like right after the 2 slots hits. So when it goes 1, 4, 2, 3, just a hair after the 2 slot hits. The other direction, you want to run right as the 2 slot hits. And you can kind of change that, you know, a little before, a little after, depending on your movement speed. Like I was showing you earlier, if you're a little bit slower, you should run right as the 2 hits from this direction. The 1, 4, 2, 3, just run right as the 2 hits. If you're faster, like at 170 where I'm at, you should probably be running just a hair after the 2 hits from this direction. And you can kind of play with it. You know, you'll get a feel for it the more you do it. Practice makes perfect. But you know, I would just highly suggest trying it, practicing it, try to follow this pattern, and then if you don't make it, you'll kind of see why. You can even screen record yourself when you do it, so you can slow it down yourself. And you can kind of see if you should have gone a little later or a little earlier. That's really how I would suggest approaching this trap, because it's difficult, it's not easy. And then if you really want, take a beer with you too and just drink the beer and then wait it out for your stamina to recover, you know, after you drink the beer when you run through this trap. That'll give you a little bit better shot of actually surviving it. And then I know I mentioned it, but I didn't really talk about it a whole lot, but make sure you're waiting for the axe to swing at the same time is when that 2 spot, you know, goes. So if you see the 2 spot icicle go, but the axes aren't going at the same time, you need to wait. Keep counting the icicles, and then as soon as the axes go at the same time that you want to run, that's when you run. And then another thing that I want to mention, guys, is make sure you're not encumbered. Not encumbered. You'd recognize if you were encumbered, but you know how when your weight is almost encumbered, it's very, you know, top of the green bar. It's almost there, but it's just not quite yellow yet, right? When you have that, you still do run slower. I'm sure a lot of you guys know that, but some of you may not regularly recognize it. So make sure that, you know, when you're running this trap, that you're not slowed down at all. Make sure you're your normal speed so that you can sprint through without a problem. Alright guys, so now I do want to show you guys running through each way one more time. We'll go ahead and start counting this. And we got to make sure that the axe falls when we decide to run. So we're going to wait for the 2 to go. We're going to try to run just a hair after, and we're going to wait for when the axe hits when the 2 hits at the same exact time. So we've got 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3. There we go. Run, run. Oh, see, I got hit at the end there. It got hit from the 4 actually, which means that I really ran just a hair too late. So I should have ran a hair earlier. But now let's look at this direction. So I do think that this direction is actually a lot easier to start off. So let's go. We've got the 1, 3, 2, 4, and remember, we're gonna run right when the 2 hits, and we're gonna run when the axe drops at the exact same time. We're gonna try to predict it. So 1, 3, 2. Pretty much when we see the 3, we know the 2's coming. We're gonna run right as that 2 hits based on our count, right? And you'll notice too, when the axe hits with the 2, if you wait 4 more cycles of the icicles, it should be hitting again around the same time. So that's kind of how you time it. So if you miss it, wait 4 more times, then you should be good. So we're going 1 3 2 4 1 3 2 4 1 3 2 4 1 3 2. There we go, and we're clear. So again, just to rehash, this is definitely a very difficult trap, but you can time it correctly to where you don't need to do the extra beers, you don't need to take all these extra steps, and you can get through it without having to get hit and whatnot. It's hard to be consistent with it. It will take practice, but you can do it, trust me. Anyways though, if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoy the content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to support the channel, please consider becoming a Patreon. I would greatly appreciate it. The link is in the description below. Also, if you shop on Amazon, please consider supporting me that way. If you click the link in the description below, I'll get a small percentage of anything you buy during that shopping session, so please consider that as well. And if you'd like to play on some unofficial servers with me, or just on some really good unofficial servers in general, check out the links in the description below. There's 5 MGL unofficial server links, as well as my PvP unofficial server link. Check them out, you'll love them. Anyways, my name is Dark, and I will see you next time.